Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I have a very different video for you today. I'm going to be showing you how to make a nice Future House lead inside of Serum. This sound, along with a few others I used in this video, are included in my Future House sound bank for Serum, which will be releasing soon on my website. Speaking of the website, I have a website. I don't have a domain yet, so the URL is really weird, but I'll leave it in the description. I have a lot of FLPs from past videos out there for very affordable prices. At the time of recording, no one has purchased anything, so bonus perk, you could be the first. A lot of cool things will be over there soon, so make sure to check it out. Anyway, onto the tutorial. Really quickly, I grabbed this melody from a MIDI pack, which I'll just play on a saw for now. I added some basses too, which are also from my Future House sound bank that sounds like this. I also used some piano chords. And lastly, a sliding sub, which I made in Silent 1. So first up, we're going to shape the sound. I'm just going to create a simple plucky shape in Envelope 1. Secondly, the oscillators. In the case of leads, the tables you use aren't as important as the filter and other effects, so you can just choose sounds that sound nice to you. I went with the evil sweep in oscillator 1 and the rounded saw in oscillator B. I also used envelope 1 to shape the wavetable position in each oscillator. I added a few more voices and turned the detune down to make it wider. Just to spice it up a bit, I shaped envelope 2 like this and routed it to the coarse pitch of each oscillator. This will give the sound a plucky feeling to it. Just make sure that the modulation is unipolar. If it's bipolar, it's being modulated on both sides of the bass value and will pitch the oscillator 1 octave down. To fix this, simply put your cursor over the modulation icon, hold down Shift and Alt, then click. This works for all modulation inside Serum. In the noise oscillator, I put in the glass lid 4 for some extra click. I also made sure it matched the pitch of the note I was playing. One quick thing I did as well was use the noise oscillator as the warp for oscillator A for some more texture. I didn't do this here, but be careful when modulating the FM warp value. Not all of the individual values are crossfaded between each other and will sometimes sound very blocky. Now for the filter. For this sound, I just used the low 12 filter and used envelope 1 to modulate the cutoff. This will round off the sound and tame the high end a bit. The last thing we will do in this section is enable mono legato. This will make it so that the pitch slightly glides in between the notes. Make sure you don't turn up the portamento time too high. Now for the effects. The first thing I added was the hyper dimension. The hyper will give the sound some more detune, and the dimension will add a slight slap delay to it. Make sure you keep the values under 50% so it doesn't sound too loose. Next up, I added distortion. This is entirely optional because sometimes it will mess up the sound the higher the note is. I just use the hard clip for some added grit. Chorus is something I always like to add as it gives the sound a lot of body. I don't really bother tweaking the other stuff that's there, I just usually turn the mix down. Now to probably the most important effect. It's a great way to make everything sound very strong, and that's the compressor. Make sure that the multiband is on and none of the frequencies are clipping. I just can't explain how important it is. And lastly, for the Serum part, I'm going to cut the low end with an EQ. Now we move into post-processing. Since this is a guide, I'm using the stock FL plugins, a few free plugins, and only one paid one. First up, I added some sidechain with a 100% mix. You can use Kickstart if you want, or you could use any sort of volume automation inside of FL. Next, I added a low-cut EQ. I cut everything below 150 Hz and left the rest alone. When you're doing this, make sure you aren't cutting too high or else it'll sound like it's coming through a cheap pair of speakers. Next, to widen it up, I added a very nice free plugin from Ozone, Ozone Imager 2. I boosted the width to around 70%. There's really no reason not to get this plugin. It's entirely free and will help your mixes a lot. For reverb, it's really up to you what plugin you use. I was gonna use the Fruity Reverb, but then realized there's this plugin that someone recommended to me on stream that I haven't really used. I used Valhalla Supermassive, another cool free plugin. I made sure to lay it on top of the kickstart so the signal from the reverb was being sidechained. Lastly, I added some distortion with Camel Crusher. I used the British Clean preset and turned the mix down. I don't know what it is, it just makes the sound like 10 times better. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you'd like to see next down in the comments, and I'll catch you next time.